What's going on, Titans? My name is Aaron Hall, and I am a strength coach. And today, we're going to talk about the difference between training for size and training for strength and the rep ranges that are going to allow you to achieve those goals. So in order to do that most efficiently, we have to understand what is training for size and what is training for strength. So when you're training for size, it's literally that. You're training to make your muscles bigger. You're trying to make your muscles grow. Pretty straightforward. But training for strength is a little bit different. When you're training for strength, what you're trying to do is teach your body how to recruit all that muscle mass for maximum force production. So it's not the same as training for size, and which is why we can see people who are not necessarily the biggest people, but lifting really big weights, and then people who are bigger can't necessarily match that. As an embarrassing example, let me show you this 150-pound guy who's lifting 410 pounds on the bench press. So now we're gonna go ahead and contrast that with me, a 6'2", 220-pound guy, failing at 315. So as you can see, it's not necessarily the muscle mass that's causing the weight to move. It's the ability to recruit the muscle mass. To be sure, the bigger muscle has potential to become much stronger than a smaller muscle. But if you don't have the neural drive, or you don't activate all that muscle mass, then you're not going to lift the weight. So how do we do that? How do we train to activate the muscle mass? How do we train to get the muscle mass, period? So we're going to go into that now. So now that we know there's a difference between training for size and training for strength, how do we go about training for those two different goals? So fortunately, there's been enough literature and study and enough people training over the years that we have a pretty good idea of how to train for these two different goals. So if you're training for size, your body is going to adapt best to volume, and volume is best calculated as tonnage. So what I mean by that is you'll take the weight you lifted times the reps you did times the sets you did it with. So as a quick example, if you did 200 pounds for 10 reps, and you did that for 4 sets, the math would look like this. 200 pounds times 10 is 2,000. 2,000 times 4, you've done 8,000 pounds over those 4 sets. That is the volume or the tonnage that you've lifted. And that's what your body responds to for growth as far as muscle size. Now with strength, it's a bit different. It's gonna revolve around intensity. Now, intensity is the most important factor when it comes to getting stronger. And when I say intensity, that's your proximity or how close you are to your 1 rep max. And so even though intensity is a big factor when it comes to building strength, volume counts for something as well. So the more volume can do at higher intensities, the absolute best for building strength. And that's gonna factor in to what we're gonna talk about next, which is the magic of rep ranges. And to be sure, these rep ranges that I'm gonna go over here are only gonna be effective if you come close to or to complete failure. So that means when you can't lift a single rep anymore, that's where these are gonna be effective. If you come close to that or there. So when I say close, you're gonna wanna be on average, just to be safe, around 3 reps close to failure or better. If you're in that range, you're gonna be doing good. Now, if you're a beginner, you could probably get away with around like 5 reps close to failure. But still, you wanna be approaching where your muscle just can't lift the weight anymore. So first, let's get this 20+ rep range out the way. So this is anytime you're doing sets of 20 or more reps, 25, 30, 30+, anything higher than 20. We're gonna discuss that briefly here. Okay, so 20+ rep sets definitely have their place, and they can definitely contribute to muscle size as it gives you a lot of volume, a lot of tonnage that you're lifting. However, it's really hard to gauge how close to failure you are when you do a 25 rep set. You're like, okay, is this like, am I 3 reps away from failure? Am I 2 reps away from failure? I don't know. You might be able to pop out another 10. Who knows? Because it's really, again, it's really hard to gauge unless you do go to absolute failure, which is hard to do, especially if, you know, you get too tired, like you can't breathe, you're gassed out because you did so many reps that you just want to quit. You want to throw the weight up before you even get to failure. So 20+ rep sets definitely have their place. It's great for tendon strength. It's great for building endurance. And you can even get size out of it. But for our purposes, we can do better than that. So we're gonna go into the most effective rep ranges now. So the first rep range I want to talk about is the 10 to 20 rep range. So the 10 to 20 rep range, this is really gonna be great for building a lot of size, not necessarily for building a lot of strength, because remember with strength, we need to be closer to our 1 rep max, and 10 to 20 reps, you're just gonna be a little bit too far away to get significant strength gains. Now, of course, you're gonna be building muscle will eventually build strength, so you will be building strength, but it'll be like at a snail's pace versus some of the lower rep ranges that we'll get into next. But in the 10 to 20 rep range is great for building size, great for building work capacity and your ability to recover from the workout. So this is great conditioning, and it really helps to build the size of the muscle because you can get a lot of tonnage in from 10 to 20 reps. A lot of volume can be accumulated when you're doing sets of 10 to 20 reps. So if your goal is to get much bigger, you're not necessarily worried about getting stronger, then this is a great rep range to hang out in. So this is also great for isolation movements and the smaller muscles, which probably can't tolerate much heavier loads than that. Like for me, if I do lateral raises, I'm doing somewhere between 10 to 20 reps. My shoulders don't like to do much heavier, much lower reps than that. So 10 to 20 is where I hang out for lateral raises, curls, tricep extensions. Any of these isolation movements is great in the 10 to 20 rep range. Next, what we have is the 5 to 10 rep range. Now this is gonna kind of be like the best of both worlds. This is where you're gonna spend a lot of time training if you're trying to get big and strong. So the 5 to 10 rep range is gonna be really good for building size, and it's gonna be good for building strength in most people. Now, if you're an elite level athlete, then you probably wanna go a little bit heavier than that. But for most of us, 5 to 10 reps is gonna be great. It's gonna be like a Goldilocks zone for building strength and size. So this rep range is gonna allow for a lot of tonnage. You'll be able, a lot of volume for mass gain, but it's also gonna be close enough to your 1 rep max where you can start driving some real strength gains from it as well. So this is a great rep range to hang out in if that's what your goal is, to get big and strong. And this is where a lot of the training is gonna hang out if that is your goal. This is gonna be a great rep range for beginners who are trying to get big and strong, and even intermediate lifters who are trying to achieve the same goal. So it allows you to put a decent amount of effort into every set, but without having to worry about form breakdown because you're exhausted from doing like 15, 20 reps or so. So around the 5 to 10 is where a lot of the training should hang out if you are a beginner. It's gonna allow you to build strength and size, and it's gonna allow you to do it most efficiently. Next rep range we're gonna talk about is the 3 to 5 rep range. This is the absolute best rep range if you're looking for strength. Now you can get size out of this because you'll be doing some volume here, but you're not gonna get as much size as you would if you were doing like the 5 to 10 rep range, the 10 to 20 rep range. But the 3 to 5 gives you the best bang for your buck if you're trying to get strong. Why is that? So we know for sure that we have to get closer to our 1 rep max in order to drive strength gains. So going about that in the 3 to 5 rep range, that's gonna allow you to get more volume in, more exposures to that heavy weight. So again, this allows you to train at really high intensities, but for more volume. And when you bring those two together, it's a beautiful thing for strength gain. The last rep range is the 1 to 3, 1 to 2 rep range. This is where you're maxing out. This is really great for expressing the strength you've gained during that general strength phase of like 3 to 5 reps. Because in the 3 to 5 rep range, you're not holding 90 plus pounds on your back or in your hands and stuff. So your body has to get used to doing that in order to feel confident in lifting it. So this gives you the exposure to those ultra high intensities, those super close to 1 rep max intensities, so your body can adapt to that, to holding it, to walking out with the weight, to getting in over here and then filling your strength all the way through. So the 1 to 3 should be saved for your peaking cycle. When you're trying to build strength, you want to hang out in the 3 to 5. But when you're trying to express that and show what you actually done through that general strength, you do a peaking cycle in order to get used to those really heavy weights, and then you can express the strength that you've gained through all those other cycles of training. While it is true you can build size and strength in pretty much any rep range, It's just wildly ineffective in different areas. For example, if you're going too high in your reps, you're way too far away from your 1 rep max to drive any real strength gains. You're gonna move at a snail's pace, as I was saying before. If you're training for size, if you wanna get bigger, but you're training at super heavy loads that you can only lift 1, 2, maybe 3 times, then you're not gonna be very effective because you need the volume in order to allow yourself to grow, which is why you wanna hang out in the 5 to 10, the 10 to 20 rep ranges, truly, if you're trying to get much bigger. So just to kind of drive the point home, let's compare a volume and intensity training, right? So when you're training with volume, let's say you did 200 pounds, 10 reps, 4 sets. We know, we just did the math, that's 8,000 pounds over your 4 sets. Now, let's say you're somebody who can do 500 pounds for 2 reps and you want to do that instead. The volume is going to be much different. Now you're doing 1,000 pounds per set. That's 500 pounds 2 times. And then you do that for 4 sets, that's 4,000. So that your volume is 4,000 versus 8,000 when you use the lighter weight and did more reps, which is why lighter weights, more reps are gonna get you bigger. Heavier weights, less reps are gonna get you stronger. So next week, we're gonna talk about managing fatigue so we can stay in the game for long. We're not speeding towards the injury cliff, right? So we wanna make sure that we're working out, we're recovering, we're allowing our body time to adapt, and we'll discuss all the different ways. We'll talk about overtraining and the misconceptions about that and all the hoopla that goes around it, surrounds it. It's gonna be a fun talk. So stay tuned. We're at this every week. We're gonna drop another video so you can get all the information you need so you can get as big and as strong as you want to get. And then of course, you're going to provide me with the inspiration to continue on my journey so I can get as big and strong as I'm going to get. If you want to, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, share. It really helps the channel. But please don't hit that subscribe button if you are not a Titan. If you're not trying to get as big and as strong as you want to get, this is not the page for you. I'm trying to build a community, the biggest, strongest community on YouTube. So if you are, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, help the page grow, build the community of Titans. Share with your friends so they can join the Legion as well. Snakes, scrape